My name is Gina Gray. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Donor Colle Partners, which is a partnership between Colle McVoy and Donor, and we are part of the Stagwell Network. And fun fact about me is I'm former Target, so I'm very excited to be here today. And let's have the panel introduce yourselves, and then we'll start talking.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Matt Drzewicki, SVP and General Manager of Roundel, which is Target's retail media network. I've been with Target about 4 years. I didn't know we were doing fun facts. Say fun fact, my neighbor actually is Gina's work husband.
He is. So. Craig Conrad, everybody. Yep.
Fun facts.
And I'm Benoit Vatere, Chief Media Officer at Liquid Death, water, tea, energy drink, and we sell across a lot of retailers and especially at Target. So excited to be here.
Nice. Well, I loved that. I think that the way that we were introduced was a little more fun than the topic of our panel. I loved it that the funnel's a hot mess. That was a great way to introduce this. But our topic is shoppers don't think in channels, so frankly, none of us should be either. And we know that consumers don't experience stores, for years, marketers have organized around channels because that's frankly how our businesses were involved. Shoppers were going to stores, they were researching products online, it was e-commerce, it was all over the place. And now somebody's seeing a product in social, they're researching it with AI, they're buying it through Instagram, etc. Sometimes they'll go to the store. So we need to start thinking about this as one seamless consumer journey. So Matt, I want to ask you first, from a Target perspective, how are you guys thinking different about all this?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's I wouldn't have used hot mess either, but we'll use hot mess from the introduction. Listen, we all know this as marketers. Discovery is happening everywhere. And as marketers, I think about this, both from a Target perspective as well as the brands that we work with. It's obviously getting harder and harder to influence messages. Consumers are hearing messages from different places and really creating some of their own journeys, as Gina said, right? We know that somebody doesn't wake up every morning and say, oh, I'm going to go on a social shopping trip today, or I'm going to go on a digital shopping trip today, right? It's all happening everywhere and all the time. And so really our role at Roundel is to help brands like Liquid Death with that fragmentation, quite frankly, with that disruption, with that hot mess of helping understand where that consumer is and moving with them and through their journey.
I love that. And Benoit, you come at this from a completely different perspective. So Liquid Death was a cultural phenomenon before it was a large beverage brand. So talk to us, you were focused on experience from the very beginning. So talk to us a little bit about your perspective and your journey.
Yeah, I mean, for us as a brand, we need to stand out, especially as an emerging brand. We need to have people know us and obviously the brand name, but then discover us, like we're talking about discovery. And like Matt was saying, discovery happens everywhere. So in order to be discovered, with all the noise that is out there, we need to have a very strong statement. And for us, it's all about, from an upper funnel standpoint, I'm still a huge believer of the funnel, by the way. And so from an upper funnel standpoint...
It hasn't blown up for you yet. You're fine. It's not a hot mess yet for you. The funnel's still intact.
The funnel is intact. The funnel, you can say whatever you want. The funnel is still here. You need people to know us. You need people to consider us. You need people to buy us. So it happens. And actually for us, from an upper funnel standpoint, it's all about standing out and being remembered. But then I think that's what's happening right now is turning this discovery into consideration and purchase. And it was very difficult for a very long time. But team like Matt's team, from a Roundel standpoint, from a retail media standpoint, is enabling that to bridge the awareness with the consideration and the conversion. And a lot of people are not always saying good things about retail media, and I'm the biggest fan of retail media because of that, because of the bridge. And the bridge happened from tech standpoint, but the bridge happened from an audience standpoint, right? What people forget, I think, is retail media, the retailers have the best audience out there. This is first-party retailer data. And for us, as a brand that is targeting, for example, parents, we love working with Target because the busy families are there. And so when I think about how I'm going to get in front of my audience and people that are in that audience and about to consider my product, I want to work with the retailer to target those folks. And where are they going to convert? In the store, on the Target.com. So how do I do that? With that kind of a tool. And that has evolved very fast over the last couple of years.
And I think maybe just to chime in, you mentioned busy families, and that is absolutely a sweet spot for Target when you think about the value prop, right? These busy families have a lot going on. They carry a significant mental load. I'm looking at this audience. I think there are likely members of busy families in this audience who themselves or with their children of all ages are walking into our stores, coming to our digital properties, and they're looking for that inspiration. They're looking for that discovery. And they're looking for newness. We also, when we think about this in terms of kind of those surprise and delight moments in terms of brands, that's what they're coming to Target for, right? Is to walk in, walk our stores, come to our site, and be inspired and find a little bit of joy and take a little bit of that mental load off.
I love that. And I loved hearing you say surprise and delight. That's very reminiscent of my Target days. So you're both approaching this change from very different directions. Matt is focused on helping guests discover these amazing products, and Benoit's focused on building brands that are worth discovering. Discovery doesn't any longer belong to one single channel. So Matt, talk to us a little bit about how Target and Roundel are meeting these expectations.
Yeah, so we've been real public talking about our business at Roundel and how we think about the combination of our owned and operated media on Target.com, the app, our stores, versus how we engage with off-platform media. About 30% of Roundel's business today is coming from off-platform partners. And that's really important, again, when we think about brands like Liquid Death, who are emerging yet established, right, who are looking for new customers, new shoppers. We are smart and humble enough to know that we need to go outside of the four walls of Target and Target.com to engage with those users. So last year, early this year, we launched a new platform called Precision Plus, which is our AI objective-based buying platform, where through our, which I really speak to the fact that it's the best of all worlds and bringing forward the best of all worlds. We bring forward what is unique to us at Target, which is our intimate and deep knowledge of the Target guest, how they behave in that first-party data. We partner with the big tech platforms like Pinterest, Nextdoor, Google, The Trade Desk, TikTok, all of that Meta, all of them in a way that allows their algorithms to work best, their data to work best. We bring our data to the party in a privacy-safe way. Their algorithms do the hard work of often finding guests and new guests. They bring it back to us into our environment. We measure it and deliver closed-loop measurement to know and understand. Did this guest behave? Do we actually deliver business outcomes for Benoit and his team in terms of sales made on the app or in store?
Can I jump in? Because I've been using Precision Plus, and as I said before, I'm a huge full funnel guy. And building a full funnel is not easy. How do you bridge the offsite with the onsite is a very difficult exercise. And you can try to build it with different tech components, but the retailer also has to be obviously part of the mix. And what Target did with Precision Plus, they are the only retailer to have that, but I would call that, I don't know if it's the modern or the future of full funnel, but it's this ability to go and find the shopper that they know because they have the data, which they know could be interested in Liquid Death. So now I can serve on Pinterest, on Meta, wherever, using their data, getting with my offer, and then bring them back into Target.com to convert and consider. And then having the measurement, which now they can feed obviously the AI to keep going after the right people. And this is true full funnel without having me to think about how to put all those components together. And I wish a lot more retailers were doing that because that makes my job a lot easier, but also a lot more efficient from an efficiency standpoint. We talked those days a lot about incrementality. You cannot get more incremental than doing this.
It's actually, if I can add to that too, it's a great example. And again, even your brand, when I think about the intent of something like a Precision Plus, discovery of new, emerging, different brands, challenger brands, that is also something Target has become known for, right? So yes, we're always going to have Starbucks coffee sitting on our shelves, but we also have Rise mushroom coffee that has actually become one of the company's best sellers in that aisle. It is something that that our guests, our consumers are looking for. We'll always have both, but part of the challenge for a company like Rise is, well, how am I discovered outside of Target.com? How am I discovered outside of the store? And that's really what something like Precision Plus enables.
Benoit,
Yes.
Target's strategy it creates an interesting opportunity for challenger brands, and consumers are usually more open to discovering new things through seasonal moments and different cultural trends. How do you at Liquid Death think about showing up in these moments?
I mean, for us, cultural moments, seasonal moments are key for people to discover the brand, right? It goes from back to school, like the ones are coming up. I mean, we just did a big push during the Super Bowl, or should I say the big game, with Target. We're about to do one for the back to school. We're about to do one for Halloween. And why is because at that time, we can align really the strategy of the retail with our strategy to show up in a big way in front of the shopper or the guest in the case of Target. So how we approach it most of the time is actually through an LTO, through a limit time offer, through a product that you won't see again outside of that moment, because that makes that product very, very relevant right now. So I will tease you, but we are right now working on a campaign just around Halloween for our drink, for our energy drink, that will be exclusive during that time and will be on shelf at Target just during that time, leading to Halloween. And this is a great way because now in store, it's going to have this dedicated display on Target.com. Through Precision Plus, we're going to run campaigns that will also reach out of Target.com, but bring it all on the .com, but also people walking into the store. So we leverage that moment with a unique product, but also leveraging all the pipes of the retail media network, which is where we see massive adoption of new customer. For us, new to brand is a very important metric. And through that approach, we drive high volume of new to brand.
Can you build a little bit on that? Because I think it's really interesting when you talk about LTOs, and we think a lot about, and Matt certainly chime in too, but when we think about Target's focus on design, I think that's what's really interesting and what makes Roundel very special too, is access to that. When I think about when you're building these bespoke partnerships, talk to us just a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's very interesting to work with a retailer like Target because not all retailers are like that. And I think Target is probably the only one that really care about the experience and the look and the feel of what the guests are getting in front of. So actually, when we leaning on that same LTO, the LTO that we're bringing for Halloween is very in line from a color standpoint with what Target is. We will guess what the color is. Look at Matt's T-shirt. But we are leading on that color. And we're leading with also, again, with the busy families, with the mom, with the dads. So we're building really an experience that is in line with the retailer, but is also in line with our brand, right? So then he works with the two different angles and he gets adoption. That's how you get adoption.
Yeah, I think it's style design is obviously something that Target is known for. And I think the first immediate thought when we think about style design is in something like apparel and some of our LTOs. The Roller Rabbit launch that took place earlier this year, Park, another collab that did really well. I saw some thumbs up in the audience. I have some kids at home too that were really happy about that. But it's not just about apparel. It's not just about when we think about style and design in these moments and curating these particular moments for brands. Listen, Target is the place where you walk in, right, before back to school, before your kid goes off to college, and it's the place where you're getting the storage bins, you're getting the athletic apparel for where they're going to school, you're buying the case of Liquid Death. It is that destination, and when you're doing so and walking those aisles, again, these busy families are looking for that style and design and that inspiration, really, that Target is known for, and only Target can deliver.
I think that's what's been exciting, certainly for our team supporting Roundel and their consumer packaged goods products or partners, because you have permission. You've got the one person who really owns that space, which is awesome. Okay. This won't be 2026 if I don't ask a question about AI, right? This won't be Cam. AI is increasingly becoming the space where consumers are looking for brand recommendations and help me pick the best whatever, et cetera, et cetera. What changes when this whole customer journey and discovery becomes recommendation driven?
You want me to start?
Sure.
Happy to. So if I had all of the answers, I probably wouldn't be here, right? I'd be on one of the beautiful yachts out there. But I think from where I sit, here's something that's really interesting. The speed at which this is moving and what we're seeing in terms of our own data. We saw a 2,000% increase in AI-driven traffic coming to Target.com versus retail average was about a 400% increase. So it's happening. It's very real, very prominent in terms of the kind of the growth that we are getting that's coming to our site. For us, it's about making sure that we have intentional partnerships with all of these companies, with OpenAI, with Google, with Microsoft. We've been public, and we're one of the first to engage with Google's UCP, Universal Commerce Protocol, to be able to enable this. I was chatting with some folks earlier this morning. History always repeats itself, I feel like, and we're in one of these moments. They ask, "Oh, listen, is the retail and the commerce industry, is it going to get easier as time goes on?" I'm like, well, history would tell us it wouldn't. It's only going to get more fragmented. So if we think about 2 years ago, we certainly weren't having a conversation about buying things through a recommendation engine on OpenAI or ChatGPT, right? The same way that 30 years ago, nobody was talking about Google. The same way that 20 years ago, nobody was talking about Facebook, right? But so all of these disruption moments are obviously very clear. That's why both as a company at Target as well as a media business in Roundel, we want to create the environment to see how the consumer journey is going to change. It's actually why we created this platform, which is Precision Plus, which is this shell, if you will, because ChatGPT, Google won't be the last to innovate in terms of an ads environment. The disruption will continue. And so we really think about a sustainable platform to allow for places where consumers are going to discover liquid death as that changes. We want to be able to act on that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, for us, obviously AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, you name them, is becoming one of the main discovery point of entry, right? If I talk about it now versus I talk in 3 months from now, I'm sure it's going to be even bigger, right? And so from where I stand is, how do I show up? But then when I show up, where does it go? Because first showing up is not easy, because we have, we're kind of the early days of SEO. Is that what are the LLM ingesting? Why are they ingesting it? When they ingest it, what they really serve back to the shopper? But that's already a big challenge, because, for example, for us, if the LLM are looking for liquid death, a lot of what people are talking about is about our marketing, not about the product. And so if people are looking for liquid death and the only thing they talk about is how crazy our marketing campaigns are, we're not achieving anything. So we need to be about our better for you products, our better for you beverage. Now, if they do that and they send the people back to our website, it doesn't do any good, right? Because at that point of discovery, it's going back to consideration. Like, it has to go back where people can convert, people can try the product. So that's why I need to work also with all the retail partners in order to make sure that when they find us, when we're presented to us, then in that case, they go to target.com PDP, where they can go and buy. So all the work that Matt is doing with all those partners is very critical, because I need to show up, but I don't need to show up to bring them back to me like the old days of SEO. And maybe the D2C guys care about that. I don't. I need to show up, but then go to the retailer, which is, as of today, it's very difficult to understand how I do that well. And now I will do that well in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months from now, because there is new players coming in. The LLM, the different models are evolving so fast. It is challenging for a brand.
Yeah, I think you make a good point when I think about the inherent value of first-party data and how resilient that is. When we think about, again, the example that you just gave and the importance of that, it really becomes the currency, I think, of effective marketing. It is already today, but I think it's even more important when we think about LLMs and all of those AI-driven experiences, both on our site as well as, again, off of our own platform.
So I think we're going to have a couple minutes for me to ask. I have one final question, but before that, Benoit, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Go for it.
What question am I going to ask you next year? I hope it's not AI, because I think it'll just be part of our day-to-day and all the things. So what are you as Chief Media Officer thinking? What's the next frontier? What's going to be the hot take?
I think for me, what I'm thinking about a lot those days, outside of what we just talked about, is also the impact of the creator economy on retail, right? And all you merge those two worlds. I think for a long, long time, people have been thinking about creators as an awareness play, and it can be, but for me, it's a big consideration play. But it's a consideration play, again, like the LLMs, that have to link back to the retailer, not to my website, not anywhere else. So how do I For example, if I go back to Target, because I'm right in the middle of that, like literally a few hours ago, I was with the team on Slack to talk about that. How do I scale my approach to UGC to send more clicks to Target.com, right? And then, so what are the creatives? What are the creators? What kind of creators? So if we talk about busy families, what are those busy families that I can find on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever they are, that they are very efficient at getting those clicks back? Because after that, once they're on Target.com, even if they don't convert on the first click, there's a lot of work that we can do on the .com to bring them back to purchase. But I just need to get them over. And so I feel like we're not talking a lot about this. I think a lot of the creator economy is talked about around influence. I'm really thinking about consideration and conversion and working with the retailer on that. So that's what's keeping me, awake at night.
So unprompted, can I maybe
would love
add or respond? I'm actually glad that you brought up creators. That was actually going to be my response had you asked me that. And it's all very connected. Going back to the title of this moment here, right? Being our consumers out there don't think in channels. Creator becoming and really has become, they are the ones who are now telling brands stories, right? When we think about this disruption, we think about what's taking place. Historically, Liquid Death owned the conversation or owned the message around their brand. Now more and more, right? They're not controlling that message, and you have influencers and creators who are controlling that message. We know that at Target, again, outside of Roundel, we're actually the most talked about big box retailer on TikTok, all organically. You have, Target has a wildly loyal guest who loves our brand and loves to talk about our brand. So much so that we actually have leaned into this. Just months ago, we launched a new creator program called Club Target. Obviously, the ecosystem around creators and influencers, we also partner with LTK in a very bespoke way. But what about those everyday guests, those everyday shoppers who have such a passion for the brand? We have that within Target. And so today, right now, we've actually created a fledgling network called Club Target of thousands of creators who are actually just really proud to shop in our stores and want to tell their stories on social. The model from a financial model, commercial model is very different with these folks. It's about sending them out on challenges and giving them awards like gift cards, early access to our LTOs. But it's a very different and new approach to how we're thinking about the everyday person as creator who has a passion for the Target brand, and how do we then unlock that for brands like Liquid Death as well?
I'll add something to that, because I think where it becomes extremely powerful is now you have this content that exists that drive traffic to the retailer. But after that, if you have a tool like Precision Plus, where you leverage that not for the audience of the creator, but for the content, and you use that as an ad unit in front of that first-party data to get in front of the shoppers to bring them back, this is the gold mine, right? And that's why when I was talking earlier about Precision Plus being the future of full funnel, this is really where it's at. So again, the creator economy is a great way organically, but it's also a great way to create content. In those days where we all talk about AI to create content, I would think actually the creator content may be the most powerful one, right? And in that use case is extremely powerful. We see that every day.
I think that I could be used as your test case in this discussion, because I saw a bunch of stuff on social, went to LTK, bought a bunch of Target stuff for Cannes specifically. So
love that, thank you.
So there you go. Okay, so a couple more minutes. Final question, unless we could riff a little bit, but if consumers don't think in channels, the consumer journey is different, the funnel's a hot mess, what's our takeaway from this conversation today? Matt, you first.
Yeah, I think it's about, as always, and I hope Benoit would agree, this is about, it's about partnership between brands and retailers like Target and Roundel in terms of what are the problems to solve. If the problem to solve is around, again, to use our host words, the hot mess of the funnel, well, how do we come together using best of both worlds? What do we know about our guest? Unlocking the power of a brand like Liquid Death, helping emerging brands to compete as effectively, if not more so, than some of the other brands that are out there.
And for me, I think it's the power of retail media. I think it's strong. It's getting stronger by the day. And I think for talking to my peer on the brand side, Retail media is here to help you win. It's not a tax like it used to be from a vendor standpoint. It's here to enable growth. And I think you need to stop thinking about them as working against you, but working with you. When I work with Roundel, if Roundel win, I win. If I win, Roundel's win, Target wins. We are partner in this, and I think we need to keep thinking that way. When we enter JBPs, we are entering JBPs to win. Because if the product flies off the shelf, Target is happy, I'm happy. Everybody needs to work towards that same goal. So I think and I see that shifting, but in my opinion, not shifting fast enough. We are partner in this, and we're all going after growth.
That might be the quote of Cannes, because I love all the focus on retail media here, but that retail media is here to help you win. If you win, like that might be the quote.
Symbiotic relationship.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm a former media person, so I could sit up here and talk retail media all day long. So thank you both.
Thanks, Gina. Appreciate
Thank you.
Thanks
For the
Benoit.
time. Thanks, Matt.